Hey guys, this is excuse me. Hey guys, this is Gray from across the multiverse. And I posted a video a little earlier today kind of discussing a lot of potential character um excuse me, potential character like deep dive stuff. Kind of let's for some examples. Like art boards, playlists, backstories, so on and so forth. Things that are supposed to help you get into the I'll just put my lunch away. Get into the mindset of a character. And kind of anything going forward from cleaning on my desk a little messy. All right. So with that, there are some things that I did want to touch on, and I think that I'm going to do these a little more rapid fire, a few more videos than some big old long video, so it stays kind of pointed and contained. So here, let's start with the first one that I had was this will be expanding players' backstories. So, let me pull up the right things that I will need for some visual examples. What I mean by expanding player backstories is kind of a twofold thing. So let's use my character Grayson again as an example, and we can go from there. So let's move you guys to, well, resize that to hello, a correct damn, should have fixed the technical. There we go. That'll be fine. That'll get the job done. Okay. So, it'll be expanding upon character backstories. These are my DM notes. We will be going into these in a later video. But let's get you over to Grayson. So, how would I expand on Grayson's backstory as a player? Well, there's a few ways. So, off the bat, we have I would give a general outline to what you are thinking about this particular character. Grayson is a born Hexblood Fey Wanderer Ranger, and I've been working with my DM to possibly, depending on how things are going, and we're not super far into the game, so everything is subject to change, potentially shedding those levels of Ranger and becoming something else. I want him to feel a bit more Fey in his journey, as he is very kind of stuck with mortality, or other mortals, I shouldn't say. He himself, it is unknown if he ages, or will kind of be an unaging Fae as he's kind of reached maturity. So let's kind of get some stuff out of the way. We have Hexblood. We have Fae. I guess those could be one. Hexblood Fae, who is going to have a personal journey, as well as that personal journey being tied to things that are going on within the game. So plot. So let's start with some of the basics, and we'll come back to those. Expanding the backstory of a character, I recommend right here. Please, please, please include NPCs into your into your backstory. I could spell Dusk Elf Druid. There we go. Okay. So, yes, because Grayson's family, part of his family is Fae, they tend to not let their true names known. His name, even Grayson Witchhammer, being not his true name. So, kind of playing with that a little bit. But please include NPCs. So we have his mother, his father, and his two aunts, Sonia and Rosemary, and then his uncle, Duke. I get that sometimes your first inclination might be to make sure that your character does not have any familial ties to the world. And as a person who is playing D&D, who's been playing D&D for over 10 years now, I can understand the want to be like, no, I'm like, I don't have a family, I'm an orphan, or they were all dead, or I never knew them. And that is the reason why my character adventures, which is completely fine. I even have some of those characters still floating around in the periphery or in the wings for the off chance you get to play them. But I recommend that if you're going to be playing a long running game, play somebody who has some connections to the world. Give yourself not only family but friends. Like we got some here, like Toes Hobblenoble. He's a hobgoblin, half elf, or hobgoblin from the Feywild, like full Fey hobgoblin, which I love. We can get into some hobgoblin lore later, but that's besides the point. We have Depp, Loreleaf, Laney, Mosshoof, excuse me, Jack, Sestelia, and Morlin. And these are all people who were tied to him in different ways. Toes, Depp, and Lacey were his friends from when he was a child, who were all tied to his Fey side. Jack was somebody he met a little bit later through his uncle and the dealings with the Fey courts that his uncle has. Cecilia was somebody that he met later. You'll see her referred to as Estelle. She was someone that he met through the Order. Technically, there should be one other person on this list. Their name would be Ulrich, but he is deceased. So, at least as far as Grayson is aware, he has died. And then we have Morlin or Maury, who is his handler. Essentially his like commanding officer or something of the sort. So give yourself NPCs, tie them to different aspects of your backstory, childhood friends, different people you meet along the way, faction members who you're familiar with, whether that be factions that you're directly tied to or factions that your family might have ties to. It's all very, very good to kind of help really flesh things out. If you want to start with like bullet points, just be sure to expand on them. Because we have like, you don't need to know like, nobody needs to know that his dad struck a deal with a hag to essentially make him a bard. And the depictions of that deal and everything else, but they're nice to know for you if they ever come up. And then you would think about like, well, would my character know about the, relationship that their parents might have had? And kind of going so on and so forth. It brings up other questions or other things that can be kind of talked about after that. Like, well, do his parents have siblings? In this case, yes. Both sides of his family does, and kind of so on and so forth. And then their interactions between those sides of the family and how all of that plays out, and then how it all plays out with NPCs that you're kind of going. And then as you kind of build, you kind of as you kind of add stuff to like the people around you, you kind of build out the lore surrounding your character. It's just like, be sure to keep in mind, this is your slice of the world to talk and bounce stuff off of, really get good ideas for a character. And thankfully this character was able to work in this setting. I had worked very closely with my DM to make sure that everything fit and we could come up with some stuff that made sense. Even if it was a little like hand wavy at times, it all shook out to at least make sense. So my second thing, I guess more like my sixth thing, but as you're expanding your backstory, be sure to talk to your dungeon master. Run a loose idea by them, then come back to them with something a little bit more polished, and then work with them on the fine details. Those are some of the most important things that you can do. You want to be able to have open communication and understand that sometimes it's like, hey, I want to play like a noble elf, like Frost Mage, and like that's a really good idea, but sometimes stuff like that doesn't fit. Like my world, it wouldn't, at least not from the kingdom that things are currently taking place in. But that doesn't mean that it couldn't fit somewhere else. And then those why questions come back up, which we'll get to in a later video. But this was on expanding backstories. Be sure to tie your background into your backstory. Like if you're a criminal, but you don't make reference of that anywhere in your backstory, you're missing out on good roleplay potential. If you're, a sage, but grew up as a farmer, like, how does that make sense? Be sure to tie that into your backstory somehow. So like, oh yeah, I grew up as a farmer, but then I went to a wizarding academy. Like there's oil, there was gold, there was whatever that was found on the farm, and it paid my way into school. There you go. If you're doing some other stuff, actually, this is a good time to talk about using 5e tools. I recommend. So we'll just pick one at random. We'll go, actually, we'll filter by source, and we'll pick just one of the ones from the book. We'll go Folk Hero. Okay. So you have a little bit of stuff on Folk Hero lore. Kind of the feature that you get, the specialty that you are in, some suggested personality traits. I recommend you don't have to pick these directly from here. Use them as jumping off points, please. I see so many character sheets blank with the ideal spawns and flaws blank. Please, please, please fill them out, even if they aren't on here. And if you want to kind of mix and match two backgrounds together, just get the okay from your DM. I mixed a archaeologist and an anthropologist together and had a lot of fun, and was able to pull from multiple character traits or suggested characteristics for each one, and kind of added in some of my own. Obviously, when you're adding in any of your own, always be sure to get the approval from your DM and go from there. But so you get even some like defining things. So let's say, you're a folk hero and you stole from a corrupt merchant to help the poor. So maybe you're a, Robin Hood type character. Or maybe you landed in this situation by happenstance. Or maybe it's a little bit more complicated than just stole from a corrupted merchant. Maybe you exposed a corrupted merchant. Obviously these are things to kind of work with your DM. Remember, it is collaborative storytelling, and that's the fun part. Like, you should be working with your DM to make sure that all of these things match up, just to make sure that you don't accidentally end up making something that doesn't fit in the world. Or if you go, hey, like I found information on a stolen or a corrupted merchant, and like turn that into the right people. Well, it's like, well, maybe that's not a merchant. Maybe that is like, maybe you found information on like a corrupted like somebody in the government, or a noble, or a mercenary band that might have been, acting good on the surface, but not, or whatever else. These are all jumping off points for your character to kind of go into. And yeah, this is a kind of more or less a peasant, perhaps a farmer, a miner, servant, shepherd, woodcutter, gravedigger, just a mundane job. So you can even expand off there, which can also help inform some of the previous stuff. With being like, well, if you're a farmer, usually farmers come from big families. If you're a woodcutter, that informs you that either you are near a forest and there are other woodsmen, and which part of your family might be from that, might be different kinds of woodsmen, or you were on maybe a major trade route of some sort and process a lot of lumber in some way. There's just a lot, and these are all things to work with your DM with. I think that's going to be the point that I consistently come back to. It is, obviously the character and the backstory is yours. Be sure to work with your DM, though, for the best fit into a world so you get the most out of it. If you don't care to have your backstory expanded on, that's a conversation to have. If you want an elaborate backstory or an extensive backstory, that's a conversation to have. Just the more you give, the more there is to play with, is the biggest thing that I'm going to say. And as we kind of get to that point, I think I'm going to kind of wrap up this video here. That was on expanding backstories from a character's perspective, or a player's perspective. And I might even do one on the flip side from a DM's perspective. But I have been Gray with Across the Multiverse, and I hope that you guys like this content. If you are looking for any more content regarding player, some outside player, what would that be? Like outside player help, things that kind of help you as a player, please be sure to check out some more content. I will be doing this the same for DMs for those who are getting into DMing. I've been DMing almost as long as I've been playing, so I figured I'd at least throw my 2 cents out there for whoever wants to take a look. All right, but I've been Gray with Across the Multiverse. I hope to see you guys in the next one.